there's really two ways to do seller financing. One is if the seller already has an existing mortgage in place and they want to leave their mortgage in place and not pay it off in full, you're generally going to do what's called a subject to, meaning you're going to seller finance it or obtain the financing subject to the existing mortgage, sometimes referred to as the underlying mortgage. So, for example, say you have a loan with Wells Fargo and you owe $300,000. You're selling the property for $350,000, and the buyer has agreed to take the home with seller financing subject to the underlying mortgage. Basically, how you'd set it up is the borrower might bring in a $50,000 down payment. And then what you would do is called an all inclusive deed of trust, where you would essentially wrap the existing mortgage. So sometimes this is also called a wrap, subject to, but basically you have a loan in place. That loan's going to stay there. And the seller's basically going to wrap a new loan around that existing loan that they will offer to you. And generally, what's done is the new buyer will just basically match the terms of the underlying loan, in this example, Wells Fargo, so that the seller's payment's getting paid. That matches what the buyer or the new buyer's paying. And then everybody's on their merry way, assuming that everybody pays their bills until that Wells Fargo loan is paid off. Maybe the buyer sells it, or maybe they just keep it for the duration and then pay it off. There's so many little ways you can negotiate this. You could do a balloon payment. You could even, as the seller, let's say the Wells Fargo loan is at 3%, and the market would demand 5%. They could even make a little bit of money each month between what they owe to Wells Fargo and what the new buyer is paying.